Okay.
All right.
Number one, for the record,
Yes.
say and spell your name and give me your title as it relates to this.
Yes, Ryan Dirks, RyanDerks, and candidate for U.S. Congress, Missouri's 5th District.
Okay, and look at me.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, you're not at the camera.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
We're shooting the interview, not your pal.
Okay.
Okay. Number one, in a number of your videos, you seem to blame all the ills of Kansas City on Emmanuel Cleaver. Is that fair?
No, it's not Emmanuel Cleaver specifically. It's the underlying ideology. It's the underlying ideology that more government and more people in D.C. deciding how we should live our lives here in town is the wrong idea.
But
Emmanuel Cleaver represents that idea, and he's had 15 years to fight and really take a fight on anything, and he keeps going along with the idea of, it's not your fault, it's not anyone's fault, we just need more money and more programs and more departments in Washington, D.C.
do you think he represents the district well?
You know, that my personal opinion, I'm not going to give you. I'm going to tell you what I
No,
keep...
I asked you for your personal opinion.
Well, okay, my personal opinion, first off, I'll give it to you, but let me tell you what I hear from thousands of people across. I've been door knocking every day for 6 weeks, 7 weeks now. No is the answer, and I agree with that. And this isn't just out in the suburbs, because Mike, I haven't knocked a single... Actually, I take that back. I've knocked doors one day in the suburbs. Every other day has been east of Troost in the most destroyed communities, and I keep hearing every day. And I post them online as well. You can see Miss Anita there at 51st and Garfield. She sure doesn't think so. And I was putting up a sign at 39th and Prospect, and Alfonso stopped me to say, I cannot wait to vote for you. He does not represent us very well.
Why do you concentrate on the east side of Kansas City when this district is much larger than that?
You're right. The district is huge. When I talk to the farmers out there,
It's larger. It's not huge. But
it's big. It's big, man. It's 2 hours. It's a 2-hour drive east. It's a long drive. I talk to the farmers. I've talked to them at length. They know me well, and I know them well. I've talked to the people.
How do they know you well?
Because I have a lot of them on speed dial, and I talk to them over the phone quite often. I grew up in the suburbs. I know a lot of people in the suburbs. I know it well. I've lived down in the city for a while. What I don't have experience with is living off Hardesty. I don't have experience living off Benton Boulevard. I don't have experience living off Tracy Avenue, so that's why I'm constantly down there. And for some reason, those are the neighborhoods that even with Emmanuel Cleaver for his whole lifetime, they're not getting better. They're not even going sideways. They're getting worse. More crime, no good jobs, the schools are getting bad. I mean, the school behind us, look at this beautiful old school. Why can't we put something there? A charter school, a private school. So that's why I focus in that specific neighborhoods, because I can't relate as well.
Why do you point to the school? Emmanuel Cleaver was never on a school board. He was a city councilman. That's a separate jurisdiction. He was a mayor. That's a separate jurisdiction.
Yeah.
He's a member of Congress. That's a separate jurisdiction.
Yeah. Well, he did get his wife in on the Kansas City School District as an executive for a few years. She had some input as they were shuttering schools. That was interesting that nobody really talks about. But the reason I point at the schools is because he's been up in D.C. for 15 years. The Department of Education writes the rules. It's a one-size-fits-all for the whole country. And I have not seen him pick a fight to figure out how to make these schools better. And more money's not the problem. In fact, Kansas City is a great example. It was $2 billion. Didn't we get $2 billion? $2 billion. And they blew through it. And we're still unaccredited. So that's why I keep saying schools, and I stand right here in front of this school.
And you believe that the Department of Education should be disbanded? Is that the correct word?
I don't know what disband, I don't know if that's the correct word.
You're calling for the end of the Department of Education.
I am, because it was only created in 1980. Before 1980, Mike, we had atomic bombs created, the birth control pill, jets that fly faster than the sound of speed, electricity, internet, and computers. We put men on the moon without a Department of Education. So yes, I am saying we need to stop it at the Washington, D.C. federal level and put it back down to the states and the cities and make those schools compete for kids rather than all these kids competing for a good school.
All those things that you mentioned were funded substantially with federal government money.
Yeah, it's a mess. It's a mess.
No, you just pointed to them as a success. Jets came from the military. Birth control came from National Institute of Health Research. All those things. The space program started as a military program.
Well, I mean,
those are all federal successes.
You are right about the military. The military is a unique thing. I mean, the internet. semiconductors, that kind of stuff came from military, no doubt about it. Military is a unique thing that you can't just, it's not apples to apples when you're talking about education, at least in this case.
All right, let's go back to the schools for a second. Only one of $10 in any school district comes from the Department of Education.
Okay.
And most of those monies go into programs for free and reduced lunch.
Yeah.
Things like Head Start and pre and after school care. Blaming the Department of Education for the schools in Kansas City, is that accurate given the fact that 9 out of $10 comes from the locals on schools? Any school in Missouri?
Common Core didn't come from the local city taxes. No Child Left Behind did not come from the local city taxes. These are things that are being implemented up in Washington, D.C. So yes, I do think that you're right. I'm not saying this is exclusively, I love the fact that my local taxes go to my local schools. I don't like that my local taxes go to my local schools that then have to follow all these federal rules, which are setting back all of our students.
But not to be argumentative about it
Sure.
at all, but just look at how the different school districts in the Kansas City area in the 5th district handle the kids in the COVID crisis. Some have them in class, some have them hybrid, some are all virtual learning. It's not one size fits all.
Okay. Okay.
That's my point. It's not one size fits all on education. And you said it is.
Yes, the rules and the regulations that they're passing up in Washington, D.C. is a one-size-fits-all thing. For example, the standardized testing.
My point, Ryan, there is that even on testing, that's where I think you're going.
Yeah.
Kansas testing is different than Missouri testing, which is different
Sure.
than Iowa testing, which is different than Arkansas, Illinois.
Sure.
I mean, all of that is developed at the state and local level.
You're right, and to get all of that federal money, aren't there strings attached? Couldn't we agree there are strings attached? That's what I'm getting at.
Okay.
There are massive strings attached. Even if it's only 2 strings, if it's only 4 strings, there are massive amounts of very impactful strings that are attached to at the Department of Education.
Before you started running for Congress in this race, what's been your involvement in community improvement?
Before the race, gosh. So I have a friend down here. I won't give his name because it's the news, but he's a reverend, so I talk with him. He and I have been doing financial improvement classes. I call into his radio occasionally. We do these around town. We've been doing this where I would do seminars free down at UMKC.
For how long?
I think the first one I did was in 2012 or 2013. You can Google it. It was called, gosh, what was the name of it? Something about my husband takes care of it is not a retirement plan. We got that feedback a lot, and a lot of ladies would come in saying, well, he takes care of it, wanting to know more. So we've been doing those since 2013. A lot of the stuff I have done would be in the world of finance, which is my job.
Sure.
Yeah.
And Congressman Cleaver says that you're Johnny-come-lately to it.
Did he?
Yes.
Okay. Well, then if he thinks that, why won't he sit down into a debate with me? Seems like a pretty open and shut case. If I'm a newbie freshman, Johnny-come-lately, I don't know what I'm talking about. If that's the case, then Mr. Cleaver, let's sit down and hash it out. I've challenged him.
I know you have.
The Barbers have asked him to sit down, and he told them no. Arrow Rock, Missouri asked him to come out and debate, and he's just ignored them.
Right.
If he's so confident, then why doesn't he have it in him to sit down and debate with me?
A final question here. You're a long shot campaign. I think that's fair.
Yes.
Okay. What do you intend to do after November the 3rd if you're not elected?
I don't want to talk about that yet. I've got so much stuff on my mind. I want to focus on November 3rd right now.
Ryan,
and that's the most political answer you could get, but it's also the truth. I really haven't thought past November 3rd yet.
That's all I got. Anything else you want to make sure you touch on?
Here's the thing. People at home need to know something. People like me are not supposed to represent us in Washington, D.C. It's supposed to be career, crooked, corrupt politicians. That's why this is a long shot campaign, because I am more the average person than I'm supposed to be. I want everyone at home to think about Cleaver's had 15 years, and we still have these schools back here, dozens of them, 10,000 abandoned homes, all those jobs in China. We're finding out all this stuff right now about Joe Biden's whole family and how they've sold America out to China. If you want change, you got to try something new. And so that's what I want people to consider. They have, I think, 13 or 12 days to go vote. Try something new. You already know what Cleaver's going to give you in his 16th year. Here I am, busting my butt. Let's see what happens. Thanks, Mike.
You got it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Hang there for